Welcome to the MMA Fan Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Stu and Blake.
Hello and welcome to the MMA Fan Show. I am Blake Harrison and joining me as always is Stuart Finn. We've got a very special show today.
Yes.
We're doing a look back on the card that happened this weekend. We've also got some news regarding further developments in the whole Conor McGregor situation. A new opponent for Jake Paul in his fight in July that was meant to be Tyson, I know. And also, more importantly, we got a cheeky little interview with Cris Cyborg.
Yeah,
so that is coming your way as well. And we're going to stick it all in together in one big, fun-tabulous bathtub of joy that this episode is.
We're having a mashup.
We're having a mashup. But how are you, Stu? Are you good?
I'm all right. Not too bad. Just had a little weekend away, and I popped to Yarmouth to a holiday camp in a caravan.
Nice. So, caravan clubbing it up.
Yeah, I was. Yeah. Yeah, it was actually really nice. So what it was, the reason behind it was my brother lives in Australia. And my brother come over with his kids, and we was brought up going to shit caravan parks as kids. So he was like, they don't have that sort of thing in Australia. So it's like, right, while I'm over, my kids need to experience a shit holiday park with, that kind of...
Your brother sounds lovely that he would do that for his kids.
He wanted that kind of like that naff evening entertainment and swimming pools and all of the fun stuff that we remembered as kids. Turns out holiday camps now have had a bit of an upgrade. It was actually really nice. So yeah, and I got home...
I don't believe you.
No, it was actually all right. It was actually all right. And I mean, we took the kids to the beach. I don't know why. Why we was expecting them to blow their minds going, this is Yarmouth Beach. They live in Australia. The beaches are obviously different level. But when they walk off their beaches... there's nothing there. You walk off a Yarmouth beach and you've got millions of whistles, lights and bells and arcades, and it blew their little minds. So it was actually a really nice weekend. And
for young kids though, like all those little arcade things, probably quite good fun, aren't they?
Absolutely. And I got home on Monday and I now have TNT Sport at home after 3 weeks of no Wi-Fi. So I got to sit and watch the Cannonier card. And I've got to be honest, when I looked at it on paper, I was like, there's nothing on here that's got big implications to any division as such. But I think we talked predominantly about the main card today.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I think it was really good.
I echo exactly what you said. There was no big stars on the card. Main event, Cannonier was ranked like 4th or something like that. I mean, 2 ranked fighters, sure, but because of the middleweight division at the moment, and we'll get into it, I guess, this was like the winner, and we'll get onto the controversy of it, but if the winner got a good finish, they were still one away from a title shot. They were never getting a title shot off the back of this with Strickland and Hamzat versus Whittaker out there and DDP still
That's
yet
only
to...
a couple of weeks away, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and the DDP Izzy fight still isn't confirmed.
Yeah.
So there's, the middleweight division has still got a lot going on with it. So this was never going to be, the winner of this is in line for the belt or anything like that. So stakes weren't high. But in terms of just watching the fights, some great knockouts, some really fun fights, a redemption story in the Dominic Reyes fight, as it were. So loads going on there that we can chat about today.
And we'll get on with that ASAP, but not before we've shouted out our sponsors. So our sponsors, to start with, we're going to start with Ferocious Fightwear. If you're watching this, you can see in front of us on our presenting desk, you can see a lovely rash guard, shorts, gum shields. Look at that. Mr. Harrison holding it up there for you, and wraps and such. And so you can go over to Ferocious Fightwear. They're a small independent company, and they're from just up the road. So it's really nice to be working with a local business, and they do really great stuff. And not just that, if you want to go and get yourself kitted out, why not go over to ferociousfightwear.com, put all your stuff in your basket, and just before you check out, pop in the discount code MMA Fan Show 15. That's MMA Fan Show 15, and save yourself some money. As well as that, we have a sponsor, and they're called Fat Candy. Now, you can also see in front of us loads of freeze-dried sweets. Now, if you're not on TikTok, you probably don't really know what they are. So why not head over to YouTube and look at what we're talking about, because we've got it right in front of you on camera. Now, what they do is they get all of your kind of favourite sweets that you had as a kid. And, well, I'll say as a kid, I still love a little penny sweet. Cola cubes, Skittles, all of those delicious little sugary sweets. And then they freeze-dry them. And what happens is they basically just explode into this big ball of sugar. And so if you need that little kind of sugary pick-me-up, head over at Fat Candy and try freeze-dried sweets, because A, they look amazing. If you've got kids, buy a tub. It'll blow their minds. Don't give them to them just before bedtime, because you'll probably find you'll have a late night. But like Ferocious Fightwear, Fat Candy have given us a discount code, and that discount code is SWEET MMA. That's Sweet MMA, and save yourself some money at Fat Candy. Give them a follow. If you're not going to buy anything, give them a follow over on the socials. We're always tagging them in every post we do. Give them a little message and say, love the stuff, heard about you on the MMA Fan Show. Let them know that their sponsorship is working. And then that way they continue to support the show, and collectively we grow as a lovely little thing. Jared Cannonier, Imavov.
Yes. Was this Louisville? I keep getting confused
was.
about whether there was a Louisville. Either this was Louisville or the previous one was Louisville. Something in Louisville happened recently. But I believe it was Louisville. And yeah, fight it was quite close.
Yep.
On the scorecards, Cannonier was winning going into the fourth round.
Okay.
On two of the judges' scorecards, I believe 2-1 maybe. Cannonier gets stopped in the fourth round. Imavov landed a good right hand. Cannonier was wobbled a bit. He started sort of running away from him in order to kind of collect himself.
I wouldn't say he was wobbled a little bit. I thought he was wobbling.
Yeah. Did you think it was the beginning of the end after that
100%.
shot?
100%. When that shot landed, Imavov went in for the kill. And I don't want to question Jason Herzog, because I think he's one of the best.
Yep.
And look, there was controversy over it. Like, should it have been stopped? Jared Cannonier instantly protested.
Yep.
And I guess he's going to, isn't he? He's just been stopped, and he's been stopped by somebody that's ranked beneath him. So it kind of pushes back any chance that Jared Cannonier's got of fighting for a title anytime immediately, I guess.
Or ever. He's 40 years old.
Potentially, yeah. Did you think Herzog was a little ambitious?
Ambitious. I don't know if ambitious is the right word. I think he was... I think he was a bit too premature, too
That's
soon.
That's the word I was looking for. I try and not think about the word premature. It's
it's quite haunting for
really
men like us, isn't it?
Me.
Yeah. Oh, triggered. Oh, premature. No. I'm sorry. Anyway.
Ain't it weird the word premature has that muscle memory of just apologising?
Oh, come on, it's safe space. Safe space here, guys. Let's all cry together. Yeah, he was. I watched it back this morning. It wasn't as bad as I remember, but it's still not good. And I do agree that Jason Herzog is one of the best. You have a bad night at the office. The problem is, in this game, when you have a bad night at the office, you're robbing someone potentially of a second paycheck, of their career aspirations, and all these things are true of Jared Cannonier being 40 years old and being in the position that he was in going into this. Should he have had to fight Imavov anyway? I mean, he's got a win over Sean Strickland, for crying out loud, and he just beat Marvin Vettori in a main event. I know I say just, it was like a year ago, but he's been injured. This is a man that maybe does have a claim to a title shot over certain other people, but
he's not got superstar quality.
He does not. And the one fight he had for the belt against Izzy was boring. So it's just one of those things. He did look very wobbled, though.
Yeah.
If the fight were to carry on, I can see a world in which Imavov does stop him in that round. But you kind of have to see it.
How long was left in the round? I can't remember.
I think it was a good couple of minutes.
Right. I really don't see there being any other way that fight was going to continue. Like,
you don't think, because Jared Cannonier did throw a right hook that sort of landed just before the stoppage, and it seemed like he was in a better place when the fight was stopped than what he was 5-10 seconds earlier when he was wobbling around a bit more.
To try and, I imagine, get a moment to try and clear his head. I don't know. Potentially, but like, what do you do? Do you let Imavov throw another 5 strikes and then people are going, oh, it should have been stopped?
Well, no, I don't know. I think he should have been allowed to throw more strikes because it looked like Jared Cannonier, he wasn't knocked down. He did use the fence to kind of prop himself up at one moment, but I actually think that I think he could have done with, it sounds horrible, but like taking a few more strikes to stop the fight because he was even throwing back. It wasn't like he was just covering up. He covered up a bit, but then he did throw back like a second or two before the fight was stopped. I can really see a world in which Imavov was going to win that fight anyway. Mm-hmm. However, if you're Cannonier, I think you feel hard done by for sure because, you know, you did throw a strike back. You've shown in previous fights, I think he mentioned on Helwani's show that, you know, was it in the Marvin Vettori fight? He looked out of it for a little bit in maybe round 1 or something like that. Then he came back to win that fight. So it's tricky though. It's tricky in the sense that, as we said, we don't want to moan about Jason Herzog too much. I think it's an incredibly tough job what the referees have to do. But this has cost Cannonier a lot. It's cost him, as we said, not just that second paycheck, but also, is he ever going to fight for the belt again? I mean, in terms of going forward, Cannonier has asked to fight Imavov in a rematch in Paris.
Right.
That does make quite a bit of sense to me. How would you feel about that? Do you feel like that's unfair on Imavov, or do you think that sounds about right?
I mean, there's a narrative there now for that. You know, it was the stoppage right? So do they run it back and Imavov gets to fight in Paris? If I'm Imavov, I think I'd be like, I've beaten him. And
have you though? Like, do you know what I mean? Like you have, but in a lot of people's eyes, you haven't. It's tough. If you're Imavov, you don't want to because you're like, that chapter's done. I want to move on to the next thing.
Absolutely.
I mean, Imavov
called... What are the rankings? I've not seen the rankings.
Well, Imavov called out Sean Strickland. But if you're Sean Strickland, you're not taking that fight. Sean Strickland's ranked number 1. He also has a win over Imavov only like 12 months ago or something like that. And I remember it being quite convincing. So if you're Sean Strickland, why would you go to Paris to fight Imavov? I thought that was a bad call out from him, really. Doesn't make huge amount of sense unless Strickland's like desperate to fight again because he's not going to fight for the belt anytime soon.
Imavov's nicked that 4th space, so he's ranked 4th now, and it's like, you know, you look at the people above him, you know, Whittaker, Adesanya, Strickland, and DDP. None of them are going to want that fight, like because it's not a big earning fight.
Well, Drickus is the champ. Izzy's probably fighting him next. Strickland he called out. That's probably his best bet for someone above him. However, Strickland's got a win over him only a little while ago. I don't think Strickland would take that fight. Strickland even came out and said, I'm going to wait for a title shot, which is very un-Sean Strickland. But if that's what he thinks he's going to do, then again, wasted call out. Robert Whittaker's fighting Hamzat in a week or two. Unless Whittaker wins and beats Hamzat, and then it's kind of like he needs to get one more to fight for the belt because Strickland's sort of there, then maybe Whittaker. But I don't think so. And Jared Cannonier is now ranked 5th, only 1 spot behind Imavov. If he has to fight anyone else, which he might have to do, Imavov I'm talking about.
Fight below him.
He might fight even further below Cannonier. So you might as well fight Cannonier again in Paris if that's what you want to fight. If you want to fight in Paris.
You look at it like that does make a lot of sense. And you know, Strickland's saying he wants to wait for the title shot. If Khamzat wins against Bobby Knuckles, I think he's going to get the shot. I don't think they're going to give it to Sean Strickland. No. I think they're both very, very popular fighters. Mm-hmm. But I think just through the history of how hit and miss Khamzat can be with his injuries and not fighting, and I think they're going to go, let's make this fight happen.
Yep.
And and give him the winner, I'm imagining, of DDP and Izzy. When you sort of break it down like that, the rematch does make sense. You just wonder how the powers that be at UFC see it. And
yeah, I mean, that is the main thing. Like, how do they see it as a bad stoppage? I think they probably do, but will they want to make it again? I mean, it definitely makes sense to do Imavov in Paris. You imagine like Cyril Gane will be headlining that card against someone, either hopefully like a Gelton Almeida, but maybe it'll be more like a Marcin Tybura or someone like that. But yeah, so we'll have to see. But that means it would be a 3-round fight, not a 5-round main event, and maybe that'll be a problem for them. I don't know.
Do you reckon they're going to let Benoit fight out, or do you think he's still in recovery?
I think it makes sense for Benoit's fight on that.
I mean, he's a huge name now, and you know, to fight in France would be incredible.
I would be surprised if he isn't fighting on that, actually. I think, and that'll be a stacked card. So if you've got Cyril Gane fighting, let's hope, Gelton Almeida, then Benoit Saint-Denis against, I don't know, sort of almost anyone in the top 15 at lightweight, and it makes a lot of sense and could be a lot of fun. And then you've got Imavov Cannonier as well. Some really good fights that would be on that card. That'd be a great card, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm just looking at Imavov now and the run he's on. He obviously lost to Sean Strickland a year ago, a year and a half ago, really. And then he had that no contest clash of heads with Chris Curtis that I think off the top of my head, I think he was winning that fight, but I can't fully remember. Then he's beat Roman Dolidze, and now he's got this slightly iffy win over Jared Cannonier. I mean, he was a guy that was in that crop of middleweights that were coming through to kind of really rejuvenate the middleweight division. It was Dricus du Plessis, who's done incredibly well. Imavov, who's had a mixed run, really, of late, but is kind of getting back into the kind of positive sides of that trajectory. But then there was Andre Muniz as well, who has not really done what everyone thought he would do. So it's nice to see Imavov kind of getting over that Strickland loss and over the difficulties into, you know, a better part of his career now. But I do think it makes sense to do the rematch. If
he has to fight beneath him, I don't know. Are they going to look at Hermansson potentially because of the location? Like, potentially. I mean, Pereira. Give him Pereira.
Pereira.
Give him a.
Oh, you're talking about Michel Pereira?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'd be all for it because I love Michel Pereira, but I don't think you can put Pereira against someone in the top 5.
Yeah.
As much as I'd love to see it, but I'm biased because I love him so much.
Brendan Allen's obviously ranked 7th. I don't know. I weren't feeling
Brendan
the rematch.
Allen makes maybe some
and the
sense.
way that you've just sort of put that, I can't help but think it will make sense.
I think if you're in Marvov's team, I think you're like, well, what else is there? Marvin Vittori, and as you point out, maybe like a Michel Pereira or a Brendan Allen.
Risky fights.
Risky fights. You've just been in there with Cannonier. You did well enough. You think you beat him. You might as well just fight him again and beat him for real. And even if you lose, the lowest you'll drop is 1 place in the rankings.
Yeah. So
over the 2 fights, you've still gone up a bunch of places in the rankings to what you were. Makes sense to maybe go for Cannonier over any other option. That's how I see it anyway. And again, you get to fight at home in Paris, and that's probably what he really wants to do. Anything else you want to say on this fight?
No. I'd very much like to talk about Dominic Reyes. And it felt great to see him back in the octagon.
Didn't it?
And he clearly felt great. Felt a lot better afterwards as well, because what a performance. And you could see how much that performance meant to him, and you know, and to get a first round finish as well. I thought he looked great, and I think it'll definitely send a message to that light heavyweight division that, you know, he's back.
Well, back's a relative term, isn't it? I don't want to piss on your parade here.
Oh, you have to take the fun out of it, don't you?
Well, look, this is his first win since 2019, October of 2019. It felt great to watch Dominic Reyes win one.
Yeah.
Because lost to John Jones where, you know, I'd have to rewatch the fight, but a lot of people think he beat John Jones.
I thought he beat John Jones.
And I remember thinking he beat John Jones. I need to rewatch it to kind of get it back in my head.
There's been some beef between them.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems a bit for no reason because John Jones ain't coming back down to light heavyweight. And Dominic Reyes, you were on a 4-fight losing streak, losing to people that are definitely worse than John Jones. So even though you might have been the guy to beat him, and that was incredibly unfair what happened to you, and it must be soul destroying to think I beat the GOAT, but the record book says otherwise.
Yeah.
But you've now lost to Jan Blachowicz in the vacant title fight. Then Yuri Prochazka. I mean, no.
Yeah, I mean, these are legit fighters.
Ryan Spann.
And Ryan Spann.
Well, again, I don't want to be like harsh on Ryan Spann, but he's not a title challenger, is he?
No.
And then Ryan Spann. And again, all of them knockouts. Like that's a tough one to deal with. All of them knockouts. And then he gets this win over Dustin Jacoby, who again, is not really a solid top 10 guy, Jacoby, really, is he? I mean, where was he ranked for this fight? Or was he even ranked?
He wasn't.
He wasn't even ranked. So that's what I'm saying. So, Dominic Reyes is ranked 13th. He has definitely got some fun fights. Anthony Smith is there, maybe. Has he fought Ozdemir before? Khalil Roundtree, when he comes back, maybe. Could be a fun one.
Johnny Walker's got a fight, hasn't he?
Has he? Who's Johnny Walker booked against?
I'm sure Johnny Walker's got a fight. I'm sure he has. Let me have a look. Might be wrong. I'm sure he has.
Well, regardless, I think... I'm just trying to fill some time now while you look. People are just listening. But look, it's great to see Dominic Reyes win. It's quite the redemption story to have the last win in October of 2019. He's back. He's back. He's got a win over Dustin Jacoby. Look, but it was lovely to see. And I kind of hope he is. I think what a wonderful story it would be if he went on a 3 or 4 fight win streak right now and ended up fighting for the belt again and won it. Like, that would be an incredible thing for Dominic Reyes. I personally would love to see it. I just think let's not get too ahead of ourselves because the chances are he could go up against, for example, people I mentioned there like Khalil Roundtree or a Johnny Walker maybe or a Volkan Ozdemir.
He's fighting Ozdemir.
Get knocked out.
Johnny Walker's fighting
Johnny
Ozdemir.
Walker's fighting Ozdemir. So again, Reyes could fight the loser of that fight or the winner of that fight or an Anthony Smith or someone like that and still get beat.
Yeah.
So let's not rush to conclusions yet, but it was certainly lovely to see him back and winning and getting such a good finish as he did against Dustin Jacoby.
So Raul Rosas Jr. Fought, and he fought Ricky. I'm going to hopefully Tercios, and it was quite strange because. Obviously, he's a very divisive character. He's Rosas Jr. And I didn't see any press leading up to it. I don't know how much beef there was, but
seems like there must have been some.
Ricky was not a happy boy.
He was not.
And as the fight started, Rosas Jr. went out to touch gloves, and apparently, I think he said "fuck you," and
kicked his hand away.
Kicked him, yeah. And I got to be honest, I thought, oh my God, this is going to be some fight because Ricky did not stop. He just piled at him and he was throwing kick after kick after kick. And I was like, if you're Rosas Jr., you must be thinking, there's some serious pressure coming at me here. And he done what we thought he would do, which is rely on his grappling.
Yeah.
Which is... Obviously,
it was the first round. He was in danger of getting choked out, wasn't he, at one point? Tercios was quite close at one point to finishing him.
But... it made for a really fun fight.
It was, it was great.
Rosas Jr., like, I mean, he's not been tested, obviously, against the biggest stars of that division. But I thought he looked really good. And
he shouldn't be. He's 19 years old.
That has to be mentioned, doesn't it? That he's so young. Like, I don't know if he's the youngest fighter in the UFC still.
He definitely was, wasn't he? He probably still is. I'd imagine he still is.
Yeah, and... if you're doing this at this point, then things look really bright. And I'd be interested to see where he goes next. He's an interesting dude.
Yeah.
Raul Rosas Jr. people.
He's an interesting dude. Yeah. No, I think he's fun. I think, I don't know what the celebration was afterwards. Did you see the post-fight interview?
Yeah, remind me.
The first thing he did, I genuinely believe this is like a bet with his friends, that they've got a little thing that they do where they go,
what was that?
I don't know what it was. It was like Beaker from the Muppets. Yeah, that's exactly what it was like. But I don't know what I genuinely believe his mates went, they have like a sound that they do where they take the piss out of it.
Do that thing when you get your interview.
Do that. He's like, no, I can't. I'm like, God, I'll do it. You got to do it.
We'll give you a score.
Yeah, well, if you don't do it, you're a dickhead. And then he's just going, it was so weird.
We're talking about it.
We're talking about it. That's it. That's his thing. That's your thing. Mexican hats and but yeah, there you go. Yeah, no, interesting certainly, but no need to rush him. 19 years old, still look good. Fought a bit of adversity there as well. So yeah, good to see it. But I do wonder if something happened in the lead up to the fight, because Ricky Tercios, to have that reaction to him,
he didn't look too happy afterwards either. It wasn't like a kind of respectful embrace. He still looked pretty pissed. And Rosas Jr. went straight over to him and sort of embraced him, but he didn't look like he wanted to play ball.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if something was said, like what was it? And, you know, is when a young fighter like that, again, we don't know what's happened, but if he's done something to upset him, a young fighter like that, you're like, don't get too big for your boots too quick. But we don't know. Maybe Ricky Tercios was just like, no, I'm fighting and I'm just, you know, he's going to get emotional with it or whatever. So I don't know. Other than that, there was a phenomenal knockout from Bruno Ferreira. I mean, that was against Stoltzfus.
Yeah.
And sort of slightly against the run of play. Stoltzfus seemed like he was doing really well against him.
Let's talk walkout first, because
I missed the walkout.
Ferreira come out to In the Air Night by Phil Collins, right? He took his time walking out. He was waiting for the...
Yeah.
That was EastEnders, wasn't it? No, was that?
What a mashup! Can you imagine if a Brazilian fighter went... That would be amazing. Yeah. I would love that so much. Taito Ivasa, someone's got to do it. Taito Ivasa would do it. Man. Or Home and Away. Can you imagine if Taito Ivasa was like, there was some kind of intro that you just weren't expecting, and all of a sudden it dropped into Home and Away. Belong together. That'd be so good. Oh, I'd love that so much.
Oh, fantastic. But, I mean, he's a big old unit, isn't he, Ferreira? He looked terrifying. He had that sort of Tyson sort of build, didn't he? And he really milked the intro, and I thought, wow, this guy looks like he's come to throw down. Yeah. Dustin went to work on him, and I was thinking to myself, Ferreira was looking gassed at the end of that round as well. I was thinking, like, is he going to get to the end of this first round? And obviously with 9 seconds to go, he just bit down on that gum shield and nighty-night.
Well, he caught him with like a spinning elbow slightly earlier.
Yeah.
Which like changed the momentum of the fight. Then he was kind of going after him, landing a few punches and stuff. And then when Stoltzfus looked like he was maybe getting his wits together with him maybe a little bit, he did another one, and he did one of those kind of like, it wasn't an upright one, it was almost like, it wasn't quite
it was fake rising.
It was like, you remember John Jones used to do this, where he would fake the takedown or almost get you up against the fence and do one like right over the top like that. It wasn't quite that, but it was like a mini version of that. And oh my god,
it was all she wrote, mate.
It was devastating. It caught him right on the chin and totally just... That was it. Game over. Phenomenal knockout from Bruno Ferreira. And Hulk smash. Is there anything else?
Well, Reese obviously made...
Is it James Reese?
Zachary Reese, wasn't
Zachary
it?
Reese, sorry.
Yeah,
Zachary Reese.
made very short work against Julian Marquez.
One of the best nicknames in the sport as well, the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah,
such a good Julian Marquez is a great name.
But yeah, like if you've missed that card, I hope with Wet Your Whistle will go on to Fight Pass or whatever and go and watch it, because it was really good. There was lots of big knockouts and a little bit of controversy. So Yeah, I would suggest heading over and giving it a watch because, as we said at the beginning, when we looked at it on paper, it was like, meh. And that wasn't my Raul Rosas Jr. noise there.
The same could be said maybe for the card coming up this week. Tatsuro Taira versus Alex Perez. You're looking at the card. Aliskerov's on the card, and I think he's someone that could be a huge player at middleweight. But none of it's leaping out at you as like, wow, look at this card. Whereas after that, the 2 weeks following it, you've got the Saudi card, Whittaker Hamzat, and then 303. Who will be headlining UFC 303? Will it be Conor McGregor? Will it be someone completely different?
We don't know.
We don't really know at this stage.
We've got some ideas and we're going to tell you all about it, but not just yet, because right now we're going to head over to our interview with the absolute legend that is Cris Cyborg.
Cris Cyborg, it's such a pleasure to have you on the show. We're honoured to have someone with your resume on this show. You're fighting Aria Wild at Crypto Fight Night on June 15th at Indigo at the O2, and it's your first ever fight in Europe, the UK. Yes. Is this just your first ever fight? Have you been to the UK before?
No, everything's first time. First time I came.
So what's the thing you're most excited about doing in the UK other than beating someone up?
I'm excited because when I start fighting my team in shooter box, all the time I'm flying to England, to London, to Cage Rage, and they're always watching. And I never have the opportunity to come to the corner or come and watch a live. And it's a pleasure to be here and they do one fight. Everybody know my ex-husband was Cyborg. Yeah. So now probably the fans are gonna come to watch me too. So it's really cool.
And is there anything in particular you're looking forward to doing outside of the fight whilst you're in the UK? Are you going to be here a while or are you going to be straight back home?
I'm going to stay a couple of days. I'm going to Amsterdam and see a couple of places.
Nice.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
Cris, tell us a little bit about the difference in preparing for boxing than what you would when you fight in MMA.
Beginner, I think, is a little less hard in the body because usually MMA you have to train a lot of martial arts, like a lot of things, jiu-jitsu, wrestling. So boxing, usually we're running more, and I was running, but running, pads, sparring, is like it's easier in the body a little bit. I feel like it's a little better. I love MMA, but boxing too. I think is nice when you have it between the MMA fights, and I'm getting improving my game for MMA. But I've been just training boxing. I've been really improving my game.
Do you have a preference?
I MMA is my word, but you guys know my MMA fights, I always try to finish the fight strike.
Yeah.
This is my strong part. I still love MMA a lot. So, but boxing, I'm having fun and it's not easy. Sometimes I get out of the gym not happy. Sometimes I'm happy, because it's a challenge. It's a lot of things you do sometimes wrong. You have to fix it, change. But I'm happy about that.
And do you find that really helps you mentally, freshening things up, going from MMA to boxing? I mean, you've been around the combat sports for such a long time now, and you've achieved so much. Is changing disciplines enabling you to kind of keep it fresh and keeping your mind engaged?
I think it's important, you keep busy, Like something like 1 year I'm not fighting MMA, it's going to be in October. So now between, I did 2 boxing fights between this. And really help me, my skills, for sure. When the girl's going to try to take down me MMA, the distance, the footwork, for sure is going to make the difference. I already have it, but now getting better and improving boxing.
Well, you mentioned MMA there, and I believe you've announced or mentioned that at some point you'll be fighting Larissa Pacheco at some point soon in that Bellator versus PFL event. Yes. Pacheco's not just the champ of the PFL, she's on a 10-fight win streak. She's also the last person out there to beat Kayla Harrison, who is someone that you were at some points rumoured that you were going to be fighting Kayla. Obviously, that didn't quite work out. Is this fight against Larissa Pacheco more important to you than the potential Kayla Harrison fight? Because as we've mentioned, Larissa's not just the champion, but she beat Kayla Harrison.
No, this fight is going to be kill 2 birds at one time. So it's going to be a Kayla and her same time. Kayla ran away, but Pacheco is the girl beat her before she leaves. She ran too from Pacheco. Man, Pacheco is a scary fighter. She's young. She's gonna prepare to be ready. But I'm the old savage generation. You don't have to beat me. And I'm still doing great. I feel like getting better. Every fight I step in the cage, the experience, everything. And I'm very excited for this fight. Happy to be in September, and I'm excited.
And you're saying killing two birds with one stone there. So do you feel like a win over Pacheco, that counts as a win over Kayla as well?
Yes.
Cris,
Nice.
one of the dream fights that we've spoke about so many times would be the rematch with Amanda Nunes. I feel that there's so much more to that story that hasn't been written yet. Do you have any interest in that fight, or are you resigned to the fact that probably won't happen now that you don't fight in the UFC?
I really would like to like the rematch. I think I have the opportunity to have the rematch. The money was not right. She says she don't want to fight. Make me wait 2 years. I say, I want to keep fighting. And really, if it be in God's hands, the fight's going to happen in the future, for sure I'm going to be ready, training. I'm a different fighter, the 2018 fighter. Yeah. I don't have so many losses in my career because usually you learn more when you get a losses. But, I don't have, I have 2 losses in my career in 19 years. And for sure, I improve my game and getting better. And for sure, if you have the rematch, it's going to be a different story. And I'm excited. Let's see. It's God's hands. But I still working, still fighting. And if it is going to be, and I know a lot of fans would like to watch this fight, if she coming back from the retirement, look like she's one comeback. And let's see what's going to happen.
Fantastic.
Yeah, as Stu said, we've actually done an episode a little while ago where we spoke about the dream fights we would love to see. And I think we picked 5 fights of any fighters that we could have seen. And you versus Nunes 2 was one of those fights. We do feel like there's so much more to that story that we could have seen. One of the things that's going on, obviously, we've mentioned Kayla's moved to the UFC now. It looks like her next fight might be for the bantamweight title. And there's been rumours about Nunes coming out of retirement. It's all hearsay, but do you feel, or how do you feel that fight would go? If Kayla won the bantamweight title in the UFC and Nunes came back, who do you think would win out of Nunes and Kayla Harrison?
I don't care who's going to win that fight, but they know each other. They train the same team. They know each other. Maybe have some beef between them because I'm going to get out of the same team. I don't know, but it's going to be an exciting fight. Who win for me, doesn't matter.
Cris, you've achieved pretty much everything there is to achieve in combat sports. What does the future hold for you? Do you have any sort of plans or passions to achieve something in any other sort of different aspect?
Beginning, I believe like this. I think I will accomplish my legacy in MMA. Maybe, if I continue doing some boxing, fight more experience, maybe I have the opportunity to fight for an boxing title. I don't know. I know I've been training and then believe this and make something great, in boxing, in women's boxing, and maybe, this is put some fire in my heart, every day.
One thing we like to talk about on this show is pre-fight rituals. Do you have any pre-fight rituals, things you have to do in the warm-ups or in the lead up to a fight or anything like that?
Usually I have, I'm enjoying every moment to fight boxing now because usually I fight 145. And then now I'm fighting 154. And it's a different environment the week before. I can eat, I can enjoy with my team. It's really cool. Usually, I like to praise the Lord in the day, the fight all day. And then I usually cut the weight, make weight, and then I warm up like in the hotel first. And then go at night to the gym, to the arena, and they put what I work for,
It's interesting that you talk about weight cut and, in them times and them environments where you would cut weight, we're always interested to know with fighters as well, once they've got that victory and they go back to the hotel, what is your post-fight treat? What do you like to eat?
Eat?
Yeah.
Okay, for boxing, we started going to barbecue places.
Nice.
Brazilian barbecues, for boxing. But usually when I do MMA, 145 pounds, I like to eat sushi.
Sushi?
Yeah, I cut a little bit for 154, but not semi like 145.
Yeah.
So we always go to the barbecue.
Yes, a lot of fighters we've spoke to like to say pizza. There's a lot of pizza being spoken about, and I know Ian Gary loves his Skittles. He loves Skittles, which is like,
I'm fan pizza. I don't like pizza.
really, you don't like pizza?
I can eat it, but it's not my favorite.
Oh man,
I don't like
you've changed in my eyes, Chris. I can't believe you don't like pizza. Look, when people look back on your career after it's all said and done, what do you want people to say about you? How do you want people to remember Cris Cyborg, the athlete and the fighter?
The legacy I would like to leave to my fans, like nothing possible, you know, when you believe your dreams. Somebody come from Brazil, never thought he's going to be a fighter, and they know coming and then be this Grand Slam champion with the person nobody believes, and turn a champion. I want to be an inspiration for the young girls, and not just be champion in the sport, but champion the life. Motivate another ones to conquer your dream, and help. Help. I like to continue helping the people around me. I feel like if God bless you the one way, it's because you need to share the bless. So no get stuck on you like in one river. Yeah. So this is my legacy I want to leave.
You mentioned about inspiring people, and 100% you've obviously done that and will continue to do that, Chris. What fighters were inspirational to you when you was coming through?
What fighting?
What fighters? Who did you look to for inspiration?
I have a lot of friends, fighters, but the beginning, when I come from shooter box, I have a lot of fights that watching, training side by side with me, like Shogun Rua, Vanderlei Silva, Anderson Silva, Ninja, Jean Silva, Cyborg. I have a lot of Luizinho Azevedo. I have a lot of people. Like when I started fighting, I didn't have idea what is MMA word, but I watch the people training and how they take care of the fans, how they know they handle it, how they training. So this is motivating me every day.
Yeah.
Chris, thank you so much. We just got one last question for you, and thank you so much for your time. One thing we like to ask female athletes is that, especially with MMA, it seems to be a very male-dominated fan base and a lot of male-dominated characters within the space. What are the difficulties you've come up against as a female athlete, and how do you feel like, if you do feel it has improved, how do you feel like the sport has improved in your tenure as a professional in terms of the sport's attitude towards female fighters?
Before the beginning, when people ask me what do you do for a living, I say I'm a fighter. People look at me, what? Like when you say now, after 20 years, people say, what do you do to live? I'm a fighter. And then they say, I watch UFC, I watch some fight. Yeah. I did Muay Thai before, so people really know more. Change the way the people look to MMA. Now have it like rules. It's not like a street fight. And then you see when your girls getting together to fight in an event, you see the family getting together. Before there's one thing like just a husband and guys like to go out to watch MMA or boxing, female. But now because I have some girls, so the family getting together. You see a lot of women, my fans, have a lot of girls getting together to go to the event for watch the girls fight. And it's really cool. It's like the family getting together for watch fight. I think this is the change. Sports grow a lot.
Yeah. Chris, thank you so much. You've been an inspiration, not just to young girls, but boys, men, women, anyone to do with combat sports. You've inspired all of them. Thank you so much for your time. And best of luck this Saturday night at Crypto Fight Night in your fight against Aria Wild. And best of luck going forward with whatever the future holds.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very
so
much,
Chris.
There you go. That was our interview with the brilliant Cris Cyborg. Let's carry on with the next bit of the show. And there's still more drama regarding UFC 303. Ariel Helwani put out a tweet, Instagram message, whatever it was, updating people on the latest developments on UFC 303. Obviously, in our last episode, we discussed the press conference being cancelled, what that means, is the fight taking place. We spoke about our potential ideas for replacement fights, whether it's someone stepping in and fighting Michael Chandler or whether it's a completely new fight on the card. you scoffed at my idea of Max Holloway putting his BMF belt on the line against Charles Oliveira and scoffed at that, but then brought us, what was it, Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes, as if that was going to happen. So make of that what you will, people. But it's happening again. So Helwani comes out, and I'm paraphrasing here. This is not a direct quote at all, but he's saying that the situation went from not great when we did our episode and spoke about it. Then things got better. Everyone thought, we're good now, no problems. And then I believe it was yesterday that he put out another message saying, actually now things are worse than what they were previously. And the UFC have again put feelers out for people that could potentially replace Conor McGregor at UFC 303.
Oh, just put the mitts on and fight, man. God, I'm fed up with it.
But what if he's properly, you can't say that, what if he's properly injured or ill? Conor doesn't pull out of fights. You can't say it like, oh, just put the mitts on a fight. It's not like John Jones avoiding Ngannou for 3 years or whatever it was.
He needs to put the mitts on and fight as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wish he would fight Tom Aspinall, but that's not going to happen.
Look, it's kind of right. So whatever happens, there's always insane levels of interest, hype, madness. It follows him. Now, we was just chatting to my friend before we pressed record, and he'd heard some story about cold sores, and
I think he was confused because that happened on the Ultimate Fighter series, where a fighter of Michael Chandler's, I can't remember who it was. It was a good fighter that I think once fought Jack Shaw in London. I can't remember who it was now, but was supposed to be fighting a guy on Conor's team, but a guy on Conor's team had cold sores, and obviously you can't fight because that's an infectious thing. And so, yeah, but I think your friend thought maybe Conor's got some cold sores or something like that, which I don't think is true.
no.
I mean, who knows? There's nothing wrong with having a cold sore.
No,
People
not at all.
It's one of those things.
I'd be really surprised if Conor had herpes.
But I'm going to gloss over that. But yeah, I think that was just something that happened on the Ultimate Fighter, and there's people probably throwing stuff about out there, probably purposefully to try and confuse people. As far as I'm aware, there's zero evidence of that going on at all. None of us really know what's going on. That's the thing. I'm sure people like Helwani and people like that do know what's happening, but they can't say what's happening because, you know, they're slightly sworn to secrecy by whoever their sources are or whatever it is for the time being. And also, if Conor is injured, say it's another leg injury. I mean, he shattered his leg only a little while ago. Say it's another leg injury or something like that, or he's just ill. If they broadcast that and then the fight goes ahead, what's Michael Chandler's game plan? Kick the leg. Or, you know what I mean? It's just, that's one of those things. So I think that we have to be a bit careful about kind of revealing that stuff, obviously, if you are someone that is in the know. But we've been over this plenty now. We were over it last week. We're now going back over it again today. If you haven't watched last week's episode, we talked in a bit more of a kind of enjoyable way of the fun of replacing Conor McGregor or both Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler. So check out that episode where we go over our potential fights that could do that, fighters that could do that. But for now, we know it's hard for fans who have, you know, created this $20 million gate for the UFC. We know it's hard for Michael Chandler, hard for Conor McGregor probably as well.
Has Chandler been relatively tight-lipped on this?
As far as I'm aware, he has been.
So he must have an idea that something's going on and it's must be serious. So,
but he can't know what it is because, again, you can't give him that kind of unfair advantage. Everything's going to be kept as under wraps as possible. So Chandler, for his position he's in, having been out of the game for 2 years, just holding out hope for this Conor fight, I do feel for him a little bit.
Absolutely.
I know he could have fought previously or whatever, but
everyone wants the Conor fight, and he got it. And you're not going to pass up on that because that's a very happy retirement, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm trying to think of what angle we can approach this from because we approached it last week and a similar thing has now happened. But let me ask you, is this good marketing?
I mean, it's amazing marketing because everybody's talking about it even more than, I don't know, is it any, would the marketing of this overshadowed the furore that would have been a press conference in Dublin? I don't think so. I think there's your marketing. So. That big press conference, it would have gone mad.
Yeah.
Conor's in his back garden, like literally doing Conor stuff. I think he would have got a face-off. It would have been huge. So I don't think this is some kind of marketing thing to kind of create more hype. That you don't need to hype Conor McGregor fights.
No, you
and
don't.
the only person that can take that hype to another level is Conor McGregor at a press conference.
Yep.
Doesn't get any bigger.
I completely agree with you there.
And so I don't think it's a marketing plan. Something seriously wrong, isn't it? And, ultimately, I hope both fighters are well and we do get to see the fight, because are we ever going to see Conor fight again if this fight doesn't happen now? Because, he's not getting any younger.
No.
He's got very little reason to fight. He's got Conor money. I don't know. I worry that if it doesn't happen now, it'll never happen.
Yep.
And we had these conversations a year ago, 2 years ago. Oh, I believe it when he gets in the octagon.
Yep.
And we're 2 weeks away from the fight and we're still having that conversation. So I think it's a real shame that we might not get to see Conor McGregor fight this fight or fight again. We never know. If he's seriously injured, then why are you going to risk your health anymore? Like if your leg's been bust again or whatever, then I think if his leg was bust, the fight would be off. And I think they would have just come out and said it's off. You made a point on the last show and today that he doesn't pull out of fights.
Are the UFC going to want him to fight injured, because better for them financially that he fights injured than doesn't fight at all?
Yep.
I mean, I know that they would never openly say that that's what they would want, obviously, and no one would want him to be injured and fight. But in terms of the money that's there, even for Conor, if Conor's like, no, I can still fight anyway or whatever, there's so much money involved that is it better for everyone that he fights injured? I don't know. This is my conspiracy theory head-on type
I mean,
thing. I don't know.
They're all very good points that I think we should be discussing. But I want to see a healthy Conor fight.
Me too.
Because I'd love to see a bit of that old magic.
Yeah.
And I do still think that if the fight goes ahead, Chandler will want to stand and bang. And I think that gives Conor his best chance of winning that fight because he is a sniper with a lot of power. I'm hoping the speed hasn't degenerated that much, in his time away. But he is a sniper, and he's only got to catch him with that left hand, and it is good night. And I think it will be a ridiculous thing to see. It'd be amazing. And I just worry we're not going to see it now. And, it's easy to pick holes in Conor because he's surrounded by controversy and questionable behaviour outside of the octagon, and sometimes in the octagon in interviews and things like that, he said some pretty disgusting stuff. And but that's what fight fans like about Conor McGregor. He's got so much to say for himself. He doesn't play by the rules. He's Conor McGregor. He's bigger than the sport, and I just think all of that kind of chaos just does, I guess I'm kind of agreeing with what you're saying, it does create more marketing.
Yep.
We're doing a podcast about what's happening, but we would have done that, I think, had there been a press conference about what went down at it. But
Conor is news. Yeah, I guess
that's the bottom line.
Ultimately, what it is.
Absolutely. Well, look, we don't know. We don't know, and obviously, as soon as we find out on the next show, I'm sure we'll be talking about it because love him or hate him, Conor McGregor gets everyone talking.
Absolutely. We are going to have to wrap this up soon, but before we do, I think we should quickly touch on Jake Paul's new opponent, which if you're watching on YouTube, you can see there. I don't know if this is 100% confirmed.
Can we pretend it is?
Can we pretend it? It does look like it could be fun. We're talking Jake Paul now fighting Mike Perry. Obviously, Mike Tyson was scheduled to fight Jake Paul on Netflix, July 20th, I believe it was. Stadium event. Tyson on an airplane, stomach ulcer, something like that going on. Can't train properly for a while, so they've postponed that fight to November.
And that date also, sources have revealed as well, aligned with the day that he goes to get his pension. That's problematic as well. Look, if this fight happens against,
to touch on the title, we're not fans of the Tyson fight, are we? We
No,
think that the
of course
age
we're
gap
not.
there, and if it's not a good look, and now there's the health implications. This fight, as much as there's issues that you could argue with this fight as well, is way more palatable, isn't it?
Look, Jake Paul is love him or hate him. I won't say it's like Conor, but there's chaos and hype and madness, and fans love him and hate him, and he's a superstar, and he's a smart boy. And I'm surprised if this fight happens that he's agreed to it, because he fought Tommy Fury, who, with the greatest respect, he's not a
world title challenging boxer, is
but
he?
not as Jake Paul, right? But he's generally picking kind of retired or UFC fighters that are past their prime, that aren't boxers.
Yeah.
Now he's fighting somebody, if this goes ahead, that had a very mixed record in mixed martial arts, but he's now boxing without gloves, and he's the best in the world at it.
It's mad, isn't it? We were saying
Yeah.
earlier, Mike Perry is the best in the world at something,
Yeah.
it seems, and it's bare knuckle boxing. Now,
And he's a fucking lunatic.
he is a lunatic. The press conferences would be, I don't know if entertaining is the right word, because with Mike Perry, he can
You don't know
definitely
what's gonna
say
come out
some
of his
dodgy shit.
Yeah.
But there's potential. He was entertaining with Luke Rockhold, from what I
Yeah.
remember, the whole bogeyman thing and wiping his bogey
Yeah.
on Luke's jacket, which is obviously disgusting,
Yeah.
but also childishly funny.
Yeah. As funny as the Darren Till Spar, which was amazing.
Yeah, that was quite funny as well. So it was like, I think that there could be some entertainment value there for sure. As much as there's a lot that Mike Perry has said that I don't agree with and I'm not a fan of, there's potential for entertainment there for sure. In terms of skill sets, now, there's still going to be quite a big weight discrepancy between the two of them. Bare knuckle boxing is not boxing. I believe Mike Perry does what he does because he is skilled to a point, but is just, as you've mentioned, a bit of a lunatic, can clearly take a punch and clearly hits quite hard. I don't think his skill set will necessarily match up with Jake Paul in terms of Jake Paul's skills as a boxer, his reach, his size, all of that kind of stuff. And also I think to myself, why take this risk? The Netflix fight against Tyson, regardless of whether you like it or not, I think will be one of the most watched sporting events going because it's free. It's not pay-per-view. It's just watch it on Netflix. And I, as someone that doesn't like the idea of that fight, will probably still watch it because, it's on.
Yeah.
It's on Netflix on like a Friday night or whatever
It's
it
a
is.
freak show, and you're not going to...
Exactly.
And you say it's on Netflix, you're going to give it a watch.
This, though, is he taking this fight? Is Jake Paul looking at Mike Perry and going, I can definitely beat him? Because if Jake Paul loses...
100%.
If Jake Paul loses this fight, is the Tyson fight, the shine's kind of taken off of it, right?
No, I don't think so.
No, you don't think?
No, I think...
You think people will tune in with the same excitement? If Mike Perry knocks out Jake Paul, you think people tune in to Paul v Tyson in November with the same excitement?
I think Jake Paul fans will watch whatever he does. I think they're different. They're not from a generation that I'm from,
No.
and I think they just love Jake Paul, Logan Paul, and YouTube is life for them. And they're probably not even going to know who Mike Perry is, but they will know who Mike Tyson is. And I think if he loses to Mike Perry's not going to fight Mike Tyson. That would be horrific.
No.
But Mike Perry then can probably just retire with a lot of money. I think Jake Paul must look at him and think, I can beat him, because he's not going to. He must be fit at the moment because he must have been in camp for the Tyson fight. So I think he's maybe just thinking, I'm feeling good, and like I've got a height advantage, a reach advantage, a size advantage.
Yeah.
So can I keep him away and wear him out and then just finish him? I don't know. I don't know how many rounds it'd be if they fight. All I'll say is, I don't care who you are, I would not want Mike Perry coming across the ring at me, because he's a lunatic, and like you say, he's got a rock for a head, and I don't know what's going on inside that head. I don't think that much, and I think he will just take one to get one. And I think he will just go for it. And I think it will be quite a spectacle. And I think he would knock out Jake Paul.
Interesting. Well, look, as far as I'm aware, this wouldn't be, if this is 100% happening, which I'm not sure if it is.
Yeah.
But if it is 100% happening, I doubt this will be on Netflix. This will probably be a normal kind of like, however they do their normal pay-per-view stuff. Probably be a decent paycheck for Mike Perry. We'll have to just wait and see. And I do think the press conferences might be must-watch TV for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see what transpires there and what happens. Is there anything else we need to discuss today?
I want to say best of luck to Nathan Fletcher, who is in the Ultimate Fighter house now, Grosso Shevchenko. So best of luck to Nathan. If you're unfamiliar with who Nathan Fletcher is, go and check the archives of these shows, because we've had Nathan on twice, I believe.
Yep.
Absolutely top lad. Fights at Next Gen with Paddy and Molly. And also, speaking of Next Gen, we've just seen the lineup for the next season of Dana White's Contender Series. And a guest that we had on only, a month or so ago, the explosive and so exciting to watch. I think the most exciting fighter in mixed martial arts for me, I love him. Luke Riley is going to be getting his chance to fight in the UFC, which, if he gets that, it'd be great to see him in the UFC, but it would mean potentially you don't get Luke Riley, Harry Hardwick, which I think would be something spectacular.
Obviously, best of luck to Luke Riley. Would love to see him in the UFC. We'll always be cheering on British fighters when they go on to like Contender Series and stuff like that. I have to say, the thought of Luke Riley versus Harry Hardwick, that scratches me where I've got a little itch. Let's just say that.
Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy. Right, thanks ever so much for watching. Go check out our sponsors, Ferocious Fightwear and Fat Candy. Remember the discount codes. They'll be in the show notes to this, wherever you're getting this show, whether it be on as a podcast or you get it over on YouTube. Please subscribe wherever you do get it. We'll be back next time. Thanks ever so much for Cris Cyborg coming on today and telling us about our upcoming fight this weekend. We'll see him next time, right?
Bye, guys.
Welcome to the MMA Fan Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Stu and Blake.